Your future is shaped in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when you choose one path and walk away from another. Aristotle believed that every decision builds a piece of your character, and your character becomes your destiny. And if you look around today, at the way people choose careers, relationships, opportunities, you'll notice something. Most don't decide. They drift. They hesitate. They wait for clarity instead of creating it. Maybe you've felt this. Standing in your kitchen, staring at your phone, trying to choose between two jobs. Sitting in your car outside the gym, deciding whether to commit or skip. Or lying awake at night replaying conversations, wondering if you said the right thing, or if you should have acted sooner. Aristotle saw this human struggle long before modern life became overwhelming, and he left us a mindset, a way to think that cuts through noise, fear, and doubt, a strategy that makes decision-making not stressful, but empowering, not uncertain, but intentional. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use these ancient principles to strengthen your discipline, sharpen your leadership, increase your productivity, and make decisions you'll never regret again. We're breaking down Aristotle's 3 core mindset shifts to end indecision forever. The mastery starts now. Aristotle believed something powerful, something most modern people never consider when they struggle with choices, regret, or uncertainty. He taught that a good decision doesn't start with information. It starts with character. To him, the foundation of success, leadership, and personal growth was virtue. Not virtue as a moral lecture, but virtue as practical internal strength. It meant training your mindset, sharpening your discipline, and shaping your habits so that when life forces you to choose, you act with clarity instead of chaos. And here's what makes Aristotle timeless. He said we don't become excellent by accident. We become excellent by repetition. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. This is more relevant today than ever. Think about your daily routine in modern America. Before noon, you've already made dozens of micro-decisions. Wake up or hit snooze. Focus on the work that matters or get pulled into notifications. Grab fast food or prepare something that supports your long-term health. These choices feel small. They feel forgettable. But Aristotle would argue that every one of them shapes your mindset, your discipline, your personal strategy for success. Each decision strengthens the person you are becoming. Today, most adults aren't overwhelmed because they're incapable. They're overwhelmed because they're overloaded. Too many options, too many pressures, too many voices telling them what their life should look like. And when you're flooded with choices, hesitation becomes the default. People delay decisions because they're afraid of choosing wrong. But Aristotle believed the far greater danger is not choosing at all. Indecision slowly dissolves opportunity. It weakens discipline. It erodes confidence. Aristotle warned that the worst decisions are the ones made without virtue, guided by impulse, distraction, or fear. And we see this everywhere. People jumping into relationships because they hate feeling alone, not because the relationship supports their values. Professionals accepting promotions because it looks impressive, even though it pushes them further from the life they actually want. Leaders reacting instead of strategizing, choosing quick comfort over long-term excellence. Aristotle gives us a better framework. He says this: before choosing, build a mind capable of choosing well. He believed the strongest decision-making starts with 3 internal virtues, 3 anchors that prevent regret and create clarity. The first is practical wisdom. This is your ability to see clearly, not emotionally, not impulsively, but realistically. Practical wisdom is like mental navigation. It lets you pause, evaluate consequences, and ask the question that cuts through the noise. Does this move me toward excellence or away from it? The second is courage. Not dramatic, heroic courage, but everyday courage. The courage you need when you're sitting in your car outside the gym deciding whether to commit or go home. The courage to change careers in your 40s. The courage to have a difficult conversation you've been avoiding for months. Courage doesn't make the decision painless. It simply gives you the strength to act even while you feel discomfort. The third is temperance. Balance. The ability to manage impulses, delay gratification, and prevent temporary emotion from sabotaging long-term goals. Temperance is what keeps you from firing off an angry email, making a purchase you don't need, quitting the moment things get difficult, or chasing the wrong opportunity just because it feels exciting right now. Aristotle believed that every time you decide something, anything, you're training one of these virtues. Every choice builds you or weakens you. That means decision-making isn't a moment. It's a mechanism for personal growth. This is why Aristotle fits the modern world perfectly. We live surrounded by distraction. Everyone wants quick answers, but few want to build discipline. Leaders, parents, entrepreneurs, and everyday people all face the same inner battle. How do I choose well, avoid regret, stay focused, and build a mindset capable of handling pressure? Aristotle answers clearly. Don't start with the decision. Start with the person making it. If you strengthen the mind behind the choice through virtue, clarity, balance, and discipline, your decisions naturally improve. Your leadership becomes grounded. Your productivity increases. Your strategy sharpens. And your success becomes stable instead of chaotic. This is the core of the Aristotelian mindset. This is where truly powerful decisions begin. They are not reactive, but intentional. Not emotional, but wise. Not rushed, but strong. And Aristotle didn't stop here. He believed that most modern traps that destroy clarity, discipline, and confidence were predictable. He saw them coming centuries before they existed. Aristotle lived in a world without smartphones, deadlines, or the constant pressure to perform, yet he predicted almost every challenge we face today in decision-making. He understood human behavior so deeply that the problems we call modern are really just ancient patterns wearing new clothes. And these patterns, if we don't recognize them, quietly sabotage clarity, discipline, leadership, and success. The first trap is emotional impulse. In today's world, feelings move faster than thought. You get an unexpected email from your boss and panic. You see a friend's vacation posted online and feel behind. You compare your progress to someone else's highlight reel and immediately question your decisions. Emotional impulse hijacks your mind before wisdom even enters the room. Aristotle warned that decisions made in emotional storms lead to imbalance. He believed true wisdom requires a moment of stillness, a pause that lets the mind separate truth from reaction. But most adults today don't pause. They react. They choose quickly and then regret slowly. The second trap is the illusion of infinite options. Modern life gives us choices in every direction. There are dozens of career paths, hundreds of diet plans, thousands of people to date, endless projects you could start, and a constant stream of opportunities making you feel like you're always missing something. Psychologists call this the paradox of choice, but Aristotle saw it long before it had a name. He said that too many options paralyze the mind because the goal becomes unclear. When a person has no defined aim, every path feels equal, and hesitation becomes the default. Without clarity, even the right decision feels wrong. The third trap is noise, mental, emotional, and digital. Notifications, opinions, news, drama, expectations. Aristotle believed the mind becomes wise through reflection, not chaos. But today's world is engineered to interrupt reflection every few seconds. Your phone dings. Your email pings. A headline grabs your attention. Someone sends you a text expecting an immediate reply. You lose focus. You lose direction. And eventually, you lose control of your decisions. Noise pushes you toward passive living, where life happens to you instead of being shaped by your choices. The fourth trap is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of missing out. In Aristotle's time, people feared different things, but the emotional mechanism was identical. Fear narrows your perspective. It makes short-term comfort feel safer than long-term growth. It convinces you to stay where you are, even when you know you're meant to rise higher. And here's the dark truth Aristotle understood. Fear doesn't stop you from failing. It guarantees regret. People rarely regret trying. They regret avoiding. The fifth trap is speed. Modern life moves fast enough to make you forget you're allowed to slow down. Aristotle believed that wise decisions require time, intention, and reflection. But today people live in reaction mode. They rush through choices during commutes, between meetings, or while scrolling on their phones. The culture rewards quick answers, not thoughtful ones. But leadership, success, and personal growth cannot exist without thoughtful decisions. Speed is the enemy of depth. And then there's the trap of distraction disguised as productivity. Many adults confuse motion with progress. They stay busy. They respond to everything. They chase tasks, emails, meetings, errands. They feel active, but not fulfilled. Aristotle predicted this. He said that activity without purpose is wasted energy, and purpose is what transforms effort into excellence. Without purpose, productivity becomes a treadmill. You're moving, but not moving forward. These modern traps are everywhere. They influence your career, relationships, habits, money, health, and daily mindset. But the most dangerous traps are the ones that feel normal. It feels normal to scroll your phone instead of thinking deeply. It feels normal to compare your progress to others. It feels normal to avoid difficult choices. Normal doesn't mean effective. Normal doesn't mean wise. Aristotle believed that if you want to lead your life instead of being led by it, you must first see the traps that influence your decisions. So how do you escape them? How do you replace emotional impulse with clarity? Replace noise with wisdom? Replace hesitation with strength? Replace fear with intentional action? Aristotle's answer was simple, but not easy. He believed that freedom from these traps begins with training your mind through daily practice. Not once, not in a crisis, but every day. Through small habits, small reflections, small adjustments that build into a powerful mindset. And that's exactly where we're headed next. We're going to translate Aristotle's philosophy into practical, everyday actions, the habits that build virtue, strengthen discipline, sharpen your decision-making skills, and transform your mindset one choice at a time. Aristotle believed that transformation doesn't happen in dramatic moments. It happens in daily training. He argued that the mind becomes disciplined the same way the body becomes strong, through small, repeated actions that gradually shift your character, your clarity, and your confidence. And if you want to make decisions you won't regret, you need habits that support wisdom, not habits that sabotage it. The first action is the 1-minute pause. It sounds simple, but Aristotle would tell you that the space between emotion and action is where wisdom lives. The next time you're about to make a decision, whether you're choosing what to buy, responding to an email, deciding if you should confront someone, or debating whether to skip the gym, pause for 1 minute. Breathe. Let the emotional fog settle. Ask yourself one question. What decision would my most disciplined self make? This is practical wisdom in action. It forces clarity. It reduces regret. And over time, your default behavior becomes more intentional. The second action is the alignment check. Aristotle believed that we should live according to our highest aim, our telos, our purpose. But most modern decisions are made without any connection to purpose. People choose based on urgency instead of meaning. So once a day, preferably in the morning, ask yourself 3 questions. What matters most today? What action brings me closer to the person I want to become? What can I ignore because it distracts me from excellence? This habit cuts through noise. It helps you focus on what actually moves your life forward. The third action is the virtue repetition. Since Aristotle taught that we become what we repeatedly do, choose one virtue to practice each week. Courage, temperance, patience, honesty, discipline. Then treat every decision that week as an opportunity to train that virtue. If the virtue is courage, act even when you feel discomfort. If the virtue is temperance, resist impulsive choices. If the virtue is discipline, follow through on commitments. This approach transforms decision-making into personal growth. Your life becomes training. Your choices become practice. The fourth action is the evening review. Aristotle believed that reflection turns experience into wisdom. So every night, take 2 minutes and review your decisions. Not to judge yourself, but to learn. Ask, where did I choose well? Where did I choose impulsively? What will I do differently tomorrow? This creates a feedback loop that strengthens clarity and reduces future mistakes. Over time, your decisions improve because your awareness improves. The fifth action is the commitment filter. This one is powerful. Many regrets come from saying yes too quickly. So Aristotle would advise using a simple rule. If it's not aligned with your values, your goals, or your growth, the answer is no. Americans today are overwhelmed because they're overcommit. They agree to projects they don't care about. They say yes to social events that drain their energy. They take on responsibilities that don't support their future. The commitment filter protects your time, your clarity, and your peace. The sixth action is the delayed impulse rule. Modern life encourages instant gratification, but Aristotle believed that patience creates strength. Whenever you feel the urge to act impulsively, to buy something, send a message, argue, quit, or react emotionally, delay the action by 10 minutes. If the desire remains, consider it. If it fades, you just prevented a regret. Temperance becomes easier when you give yourself time to think. The seventh action is the clarity walk. This is a simple habit with massive impact. Aristotle often walked as he taught because movement activates the mind. Today, a 10-minute walk without your phone can reset your thinking, calm your emotions, and increase your ability to make strong decisions. No noise, no distractions, just clarity. Many leaders use this exact practice to solve problems, make difficult decisions, and reconnect with purpose. The eighth action is the future self question. Whenever you're stuck, ask, what decision would make my future self proud? Aristotle believed that excellence requires choosing the path that builds the best version of yourself. This question reframes your thinking. It shifts your focus from comfort to growth, and it helps you choose long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. All these actions share one thing in common. They train your character, and when your character grows stronger, your decisions grow wiser. Aristotle insisted that wisdom isn't a talent, it's a habit. It's the result of consistent practice, small victories, and everyday discipline. And here's the part most people overlook. When you practice these actions consistently, you start to feel something shift. Decisions become easier. Fear loses its power. Clarity becomes natural. You stop living reactively, and you start leading your life with intention. That shift is the beginning of mastery. But Aristotle knew there was another level, one reserved for leaders, creators, entrepreneurs, and anyone who wants to use their decisions to influence not just their own life, but the lives of others. That's where strategy enters the picture. And it brings us to Chapter 4, where we explore advanced Aristotelian principles for leadership, success, and high-level decision-making that can transform your career, your productivity, and your long-term growth. Aristotle wasn't just a philosopher. He was a strategist, a mentor to leaders, a teacher of people who shaped nations. When he spoke about virtue, balance, or practical wisdom, he wasn't describing theories. He was describing tools for leadership, strategy, productivity, and long-term success. And the deeper you go into his thinking, the more you discover a blueprint that fits perfectly into modern American life. The first advanced principle is strategic balance. Aristotle believed that every extreme leads to failure. Leadership collapses when it becomes too rigid or too passive. Productivity falls apart when it becomes either obsessive or unfocused. Success loses meaning when it becomes either all work or all pleasure. He called this the golden mean, the point of balance where excellence lives. For leaders, this means balancing confidence with humility, speed with reflection, ambition with ethics. The strongest leaders aren't the loudest or the most aggressive. They're the most balanced. They know when to act and when to step back, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to push and when to protect their energy. This balance builds trust, credibility, and long-term stability. The second principle is rational priority. Aristotle taught that the highest good should guide the lower goods. In modern terms, this means your core values should drive your strategy, not the other way around. Many leaders chase money, status, or recognition, hoping those will bring fulfillment. But Aristotle would argue that without clarity of purpose, these pursuits lead to imbalance and regret. So he encouraged an ordered life, one where purpose drives action and action drives results. In the workplace, this means choosing projects that matter, delegating tasks that drain your focus, and aligning your team with a shared mission. Productivity skyrockets when everyone works toward a clear, higher aim. The third principle is long-view thinking. Aristotle believed that wise decisions consider long-term consequences, not just immediate results. Modern leaders often focus on short-term wins, quarterly numbers, quick promotions, rapid growth. But long-term thinkers, the great leaders, the most successful entrepreneurs, the people who build lasting impact, make decisions based on where they want to be in 5, 10, or 20 years. Aristotle taught that long-term thinking strengthens patience, discipline, and strategic action. Before making a major decision, ask, will this matter a year from now? Will it still matter in 5? How does this decision shape the future I'm building? Long-view thinking separates leaders from followers, builders from reactors. The fourth principle is ethical advantage. Aristotle insisted that virtue isn't just moral, it's strategic. Trust is a currency in leadership. Integrity is leverage. Temperance prevents burnout. Courage inspires teams. Practical wisdom reduces mistakes. Ethical leaders make fewer impulsive decisions, fewer emotional errors, and fewer destructive choices. They build reputational capital that accelerates opportunity. In a world where trust is rare, ethics become a competitive advantage. People follow leaders they believe in, not leaders they fear. The fifth principle is the power of deliberation. Aristotle believed that before acting, a leader must think deeply, not endlessly. Deliberation is not overthinking. It's strategic thinking. It's asking, what are the possible outcomes, and what do they mean? What is within my control, and what isn't? What decision aligns with my purpose, my values, and my long-term goals? Great leaders don't make rash decisions. They don't allow pressure to rush them. They gather information, consider consequences, and then act decisively. This combination creates consistency, and consistency creates credibility. The sixth principle is emotional governance. Aristotle taught that emotions are powerful, but dangerous when uncontrolled. Anger can be fuel or fire. Excitement can inspire or deceive. Fear can protect or paralyze. Leaders must govern their emotions the way a captain navigates a ship, with awareness, discipline, and balance. This doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means directing it, channeling it, using emotion as information, not instruction. A leader who governs their emotions governs their decisions, and a leader who governs their decisions governs their future. The seventh principle is opportunity recognition. Aristotle believed that opportunity appears to those prepared to see it. Many people miss opportunities because they're distracted, reactive, or unaligned. Leaders see patterns others ignore. They sense emerging possibilities. They know when to move and when to wait. This ability comes from clarity, discipline, and a strong relationship with purpose. The clearer your mind, the easier it becomes to recognize openings that lead to success, growth, and transformation. The eighth principle is transformational influence. Aristotle believed the highest form of leadership is shaping others toward excellence, not controlling them, not forcing compliance, but inspiring virtue. Leaders who embody wisdom, courage, and balance naturally elevate the people around them. They create cultures where excellence is expected, not demanded. They build teams that act with discipline, think with clarity, and move with purpose. This is how strong leadership multiplies. It's not just what you accomplish, it's what you empower others to accomplish. These advanced strategies turn Aristotle's philosophy into a roadmap for leadership in the modern world. They elevate your mindset, strengthen your decision-making, and give you a framework for success that isn't chaotic or reactive, but intentional and strategic. And when you apply these principles consistently, when your decisions reflect wisdom instead of impulse, purpose instead of pressure, balance instead of chaos, something powerful happens. Your life doesn't just improve, It transforms. Aristotle believed that the goal of life wasn't perfection. It was flourishing, the full expression of your potential through disciplined action, balanced decisions, and intentional living. When you consistently apply his principles, something begins to shift inside you. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but steadily. Like a craftsman shaping stone, the Aristotelian mindset shapes you, and before you even notice it happening, you start to live differently. The first transformation is identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries to make good decisions, and you begin to see yourself as someone who does. Your actions match your values. Your habits align with your goals. Your choices reflect your purpose. Aristotle would say you've gone from living by impulse to living by virtue, and that shift is the foundation of success. The second transformation is confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet confidence, the kind that comes from self-trust. Modern adults often don't struggle because they're incapable. They struggle because they don't trust their ability to choose well. When you follow Aristotelian practices, the pause, the alignment check, the virtue repetition, the evening review, you build evidence. You prove to yourself that you're capable of clarity, discipline, and wisdom. Confidence becomes a natural result of consistent action. The third transformation is emotional strength. Aristotle believed that when your mind is trained, emotions become partners instead of enemies. Fear stops controlling you. Anger stops hijacking your decisions. Anxiety stops pushing you into hesitation. You begin to experience emotional balance, temperance in action, and that balance changes the way you lead, love, work, and think. Life doesn't become easier. You become stronger. The fourth transformation is productivity with purpose. You stop confusing busyness with progress. You no longer chase every task or react to every notification. You filter your commitments. You protect your focus. You move with intention. Productivity becomes a tool instead of a trap. You accomplish more not because you work harder, but because you choose better. This is Aristotle's rational priority applied to modern life. The fifth transformation is leadership by example. The Aristotelian mindset makes you someone others naturally follow. You express calm under pressure. You think deeply before acting. You encourage balance instead of chaos. You lead not with force, but with clarity and consistency. Aristotle would call this ethical leadership, influence rooted in wisdom, courage, and character. Whether you're leading a team, a business, a family, or just your own future, people notice your stability. They trust your judgment. Your presence becomes grounding. The sixth transformation is opportunity expansion. When your mind becomes clearer, opportunities become visible. They were always there. You just weren't able to recognize them through hesitation, distraction, or fear. With the Aristotelian mindset, you begin to see connections, patterns, and possibilities that others overlook. You sense when to act, when to wait, when to push, and when to pivot. You become strategic, intentional, and proactive. Opportunities don't feel random anymore. They feel earned. The seventh transformation is inner peace. Not in a spiritual sense, but in a psychological one. Peace comes from alignment, from knowing your decisions reflect your values, from knowing you are moving toward excellence instead of drifting through life. Aristotle believed that a virtuous life leads to harmony, internal balance that guides you through uncertainty. Even when life gets difficult, you feel centered, grounded, capable. And the final transformation is mastery. Aristotle believed mastery isn't a destination. It's a state of continuous refinement. You don't stop improving. You don't stop learning. You don't stop becoming. With every decision, every habit, every reflection, you shape your character. And with every improvement in character, your life transforms. The Aristotelian mindset becomes your default, a powerful, disciplined, strategic way of living that protects you from regret and pushes you toward breakthrough. This is the transformation Aristotle promised. Not theoretical, not philosophical, practical, visible, life-changing. And now that we've explored the core, the traps, the habits, the leadership strategies, and the transformation, all that remains is to bring everything together. The final takeaways that you can carry with you long after this video ends. Let's close with clarity, strength, and direction. Aristotle taught us that strong decisions are not accidents. They come from character, from clarity, from disciplined habits practiced every day. His wisdom still works because human nature hasn't changed. We still hesitate. We still fear choosing wrong. We still fight distraction, pressure, and noise. But when you apply the Aristotelian mindset, the pause, the virtue practice, the alignment with purpose, you stop drifting and start directing your life with intention. Remember the essentials. Practical wisdom gives you clarity. Courage gives you action. Temperance gives you balance. These three virtues shape powerful decision-making. They strengthen leadership, sharpen productivity, and create a mindset capable of long-term success. And when you live by them consistently, you transform. Your confidence rises. Your purpose strengthens. Your opportunities expand. And regret loses its grip on you. If this message brought clarity to your decisions, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your growth journey deserves momentum, and we're here to build it with you. And in these final seconds, choose your next step wisely. Watch the video on the left. Conquer Chaos. Aristotle's 5 rules for unshakable leadership in the modern era. To elevate your leadership. Or click the video on the right. Why Good People Fail. Aristotle's ethos to win finally. To understand the deeper story behind today's title. Your transformation continues with the next decision you make.